Hello there. How you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Yeah, getting there. I think getting there is be the turn of phrase.
Good to hear. I'm very excited about today's guest, Morgan. We've got our TikTok expert, Oliver, who's joined us. He's very kindly started to do our TikTok Beyond the Barclay channel, which has seen some good views and good likes. So, without further ado, I'll hand over to Oliver to just introduce yourself, where you're from, what you do for a living currently, Oliver, and how long you supported Norwich.
Yeah, so firstly, how are you guys doing?
Yeah,
Good,
well,
mate. Yeah.
Yeah, so back to when I've been supporting Norwich for as long as I can remember, to be honest with you. And obviously just picked up on your TikTok recently as well. So yeah, it's been a good journey so far, pulling in a lot of viewers and yeah, growing massively at the minute.
yeah. I mean,
And I think,
it's
go on then, Morgan.
actually I'm really excited to talk to you about this because I said this to Jez earlier. I was like, it's something that I mean, like obviously TikTok is it goes across different age boundaries and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
But primarily, it's something that I obviously didn't kind of leap on, and probably Jez, you probably didn't. But my dad uses it, and he's 77. So I'm just really intrigued as to kind of how it works, how you kind of got into it, where it sits in the world, and yeah, I think it's going to be a really interesting episode on something that social media and that kind of thing that affects all of our lives. There's no way of getting away from that.
Yeah. So how I got into it. So basically, I think back in December, I went on like a college trip to Sky Sports Studio.
Okay.
Um, and obviously, I was talking to Mike Wedderburn, who's obviously host of Sky Sports, like transfer news, etc., Sky News and stuff like that. And he said something about like if you want to get into this industry, which to me at the time seemed like sort of intriguing, start posting your own content, whether that's on TikTok, etc. But I think without like sort of the football scene now, we see so many content creators going from TikTok, then transitioning onto YouTube and building sort of a bigger brand.
Mm.
But yeah, how sort of I came about to get in contact with you guys was through Bleeding Norwich. Surprisingly enough, we had Alex on the podcast not so long ago. So yeah, just message you guys to get actually come on the podcast to speak up my own TikTok and sort of my own sort of following with Norwich. But eventually, it sort of spanned into be an admin role for your guys' TikTok. So yeah.
I mean, I guess it's sort of an organic thing. We kind of we'll put this out there. Sort of, can you tell us about your TikTok handle and stuff, just to get that out into the ether?
Yeah. So my personal account, which has I think over about 500 followers at the minute, so it's growing slowly. Been started doing it since January. That's Sadler Talks Footy, and obviously the Beyond the Barclay. If you just search that up on TikTok, it will come up.
Cool. Okay. Do you want to dive into the questions, Jez? We sort of touched a little bit on it, the first one, but if you want to
Yeah, I
ask.
mean, first and foremost, I just wanted to say thank you to Oliver for the work that he's done with our TikTok account so far. Formally, thank him for that.
Thank you.
I'm really pleased with his input and obviously Killian, who's doing our videos as well, which is really good. And I think you'll agree, Ollie, it's really good content for that platform.
Yeah, his outlets are really engaging. They're bringing sort of a older sort of audience in, which if I compare the stats from my sort of personal TikTok to the Beyond the Barclay, you can see like a vast difference in how young my viewership is compared to obviously yours. It's kind of spread out a bit more, which is quite interesting.
No, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's the sort of, I guess, in a way for listeners who aren't potentially up on this kind of thing, it's sort of the data side of set that we see, and then we can kind of, I suppose, tailor our kind of episodes to where we think it'll get the most reach and, I suppose, interest to most people.
Yeah. I've been on sort of many social media platforms, but I think TikTok for me provides the most sort of interesting data. It's easily accessible on videos, but yeah, it's really good insight to what sort of target audience you're looking for and stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, as Morgan's alluded to, let's jump into a few of the questions that we set. So, tell us about your content in relation to your TikTok platform when you started it, and was it always intended to be about Norwich City?
Yeah, so the first few videos I done, I remember it. It was when Lewis Dobbin transferred to Norwich, and I thought I'd do a video on that, and then etc. Like Ashley Barnes left. So to
Yeah.
start with, it started off sort of bringing in a lot of Norwich fans, which is always what I wanted to bring in because it's a club that's very close to my heart. Just bring like sort of fans together. But then eventually I sort of expanded out to other championship content, like for example, I just done a video on Millwall and how I think they could potentially push for playoffs, but I remember recording that video and it was like it went out just before they lost 5-1 to Plymouth, so that really helped like the video gain sort of attraction of views. But yeah, sort of expanded it to general football content, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've done that with Jez has done that really well with Beyond the South Stand because it gives you a different fan perspective on their club. We all, and there's a lot of parallels that we share as fans. When we're sort of mid-table championship sides, always concerned about going up to the playoffs, and then what happens when you get in the Premier League. But I think it's really interesting to sort of bring that other perspective, not just Norwich.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to see sort of all like championship fans output. With the amount of comments that they leave. Yeah, it's really interesting to view different people's perspectives. I think it brings us closer, to understanding where we are as a club as well.
Yeah,
definitely, without a doubt.
Okay, yeah. So how did you start going about creating the content? You mentioned there about the Sky Sports Studio trip.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing that was the inspiration behind it. So how did you start going about creating the content, and how do you feel when you get likes and follows? Because the psychological side of this stuff is really interesting as well.
Yeah. So obviously, sort of before that, I've had previous TikToks doing like other stuff, but that really affected me. If I didn't receive, if I put in loads of effort on a video and it didn't do as well, it really sort of brought me down. But I think now it's just like I just enjoy producing the content regardless. But yeah, I think another inspiration for me would be there's this guy called Callum Fowler. He's a Barnsley fan, but he started out doing TikToks and eventually moved over to YouTube. And like, there's so many that are going into sort of Sky Sports just through content creation on TikTok. So I think that's the inspiration for me.
Go on.
Sorry, Morgan. No, after you, please.
I was just saying it's kind of like when and this is winding the clock back some years, but when I was at college and I did media and film studies at Norwich City College. Shout out to the great College of Norwich. But like there wasn't obviously anything like this. So when you're like, well, what do I do to get a job? Like, what do I do to get a job in media? Like it seemed like an almost. I guess you do internships and then you kind of go from there. But I think with what this is, with what you're sort of suggesting is you have this really good opportunity now for people to have to really make the effort with stuff that they enjoy, and then use that almost as a portfolio or as a CV to then get an internship or a junior position. I mean, that'd be sort of fair to say.
Yeah. So my girlfriend, she does a cooking account on TikTok, and she's grown that to over 17,000 followers.
Wow,
which
brilliant!
Again, is another sort of inspiration for me because once you reach over 10,000 followers, obviously you can start earning money on videos. So for videos over a minute long, she earns about, I think, 58p per 1,000 views. So it racks up if like the views are good. So yeah, it's quite interesting to see how that sort of works.
But yeah, I mean, again, like it's that I think we'll probably all agree that the idea of sort of monetizing it is great, but it's not why we started this.
I agree. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just an added-on bonus at the end of the day if it does come along. But yeah, just content creation is sort of my passion on TikTok. So
that's great.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, and I'm a very similar sort of path to you, Morgan, in the fact that I'll give another shout out to City College Norwich. I mean, they've never had so many shout outs before in this podcast. So, former student at that fine establishment, sports and exercise science. So it was my studies. But yeah, I remember the media outlet, I suppose, and there wasn't back in those days. There wasn't the opportunities, I suppose, that they present themselves these days. And I think if you've got that natural talent and ability to to uh, inspire, entertain, however you want to call it, people, then I think that's what I see from your videos, Ollie. I think it's really good sort of good, not only good entertainment but good infotainment. Is that the right phrase? You're giving a lot of good information out.
Yeah, I sort of obviously watch quite a lot of Championship as well. So yeah, I'm just always sort of giving what I think my opinion is, whether it's right or wrong, but it's just open-minded debate at the end of the day for everyone to get involved with. So yeah.
Do you ever get any kind of how do we put this? Any sort of entertaining comments back from any of your followers?
Yeah. So actually on TikTok I've got like a setting on, so if there's any sort of like comment that's really out there, it will block it straight away. So
right.
I mean that sort of limits it down. But I can go into the comments and review them and approve them. But yeah, I like going into sort of, you have a few Ipswich fans come on there and they'll you know what they're like. So yeah.
Yeah, all too well. I mean, I think it's. It's. I mean, the next question I think is quite poignant. So, in terms of output, how challenging is it to stay up to date and relevant and keep your followers engaged? Because I think when I mean, talking from our perspective, Jez, like you don't realize how much work goes into this stuff. Like we just put a podcast out there, right? But there's so much more to this than just sitting down talking to people. Believe it or not, for anyone listening at home, we do have to do other things. So Oliver, I guess, how challenging is it to start?
Yeah, it's challenging because in a way you can produce so much content, but the quality of it, couldn't be there. So I think it's about finding that balance of quality and content. How much can you consistently put out content that's going to really engage viewers like on a weekly basis? For me, it wouldn't make sense to post videos every 10 minutes because it would just become annoying and I'll just be pumping out content that I don't really need to pump out. So it's about sort of waiting for a developing story, sort of building an opinion on it, and producing the content.
Yeah, applying I suppose a bit of a strategy, something that Jez have had to do over the course of the last however many weeks.
Yeah, I think it's important to. I'm by no means a social media expert. I've got a qualification in it, but that doesn't mean anything really. It's for me, it's about putting out. You're right, exactly right, Ollie. Putting stuff out, perhaps daily, but not so much that it's going to annoy your followers and either promote negative engagement or just switch the engagement off altogether by people just unfollowing you, which is that's always a worry and a concern because there are other people out there that will take your followers as well. It's such a strong world in terms of how many people do this. It's just about, as you say, as Morgan's alluded to in the question, remaining relevant.
Yeah. I think it's always sort of, it's kind of stressful to keep up, with the amount of content creators, especially with like the advancement in like technology that some people have at their disposal. Like, I'm not great at editing, but I know a lot of people are, and they can sort of reach success, I guess, quicker in terms of followers and stuff like that. But yeah, I just enjoy posting content and seeing what people say and the engagement really. So it's nothing sort of for me to worry about.
I mean, we had Totally Tetty on the pod, and just probably podcast will go out after. But we had him recently, and he produces fun videos of Norwich on YouTube. I don't know if you've seen any, Oliver. Have you?
Yeah, no, I haven't come across that yet. No.
Yeah, you should check them out. They're pretty good. But he was sort of saying that he got into it in lockdown and sort of was having fun with it, and then I think he said that he sort of he took a break from it because he just, I guess life happens and he just wasn't, he just kind of fell away a little bit from it. So I think it's challenging. I guess one way of looking at it is it's like a hobby that maybe can grow and get out of hand. that's how I'd look at it anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think, like you mentioned earlier, if you don't get the likes and stuff, it could affect you. But I think for some people, and especially for me, sort of at the beginning, it was a constant craze of them likes and engagement on your videos. And like if you put a lot of effort into a video and it doesn't work out, then it will sort of bring you down so as much so you don't want to post anymore. So I think, yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? You got to be in a space where you're kind of enjoying it yourself. I mean, me and Morgan, I would say, I don't want to put words in your mouth, Morgan, but I think we're in a place at the moment where we're quite enjoying it and enjoying talking to different aspects of the Norwich City supporting community, and it brings me a tremendous amount of pride. I think when I can then relate that and then put it into a format where other people can become inspired. For an example of that would be we've got we had a call last night with the Norwich City Women's Supporters Group, and they were talking about perhaps a lack, not a lack of interest as such, but the interest which could be more, and that's something like that. Where if we put that out, if one more person goes and watches them on a Sunday, that's our job done.
Yeah, I agree. And or engages with them more, or any sort of facets. We've also spoken to a chap who helps out at Duncan Forbes's charity for Duncan, called Duncan's Club. So if we put that out into the world and people listen to that and go, you know what, like my family, or sadly a member of my family has dementia, and they were a Norwich fan, maybe they can help them out. So I think sometimes, and I don't know if this is what you guys think to this, but sometimes social media kind of does get a bit of a negative rep, but sometimes it can also have really positive impacts because you then figure that there is a Norwich City women's fan group. There is Duncan's Club that help people with dementia. So I think it can be a cause for good.
Yeah, definitely. I think talking about sort of doing my job, I've recently started doing building sort of like a world map of where people have been watching from. But yeah, I was checking earlier on my personal account, and we've reached in places like Ethiopia, Peru.
Wow.
The Beyond the Barclays reached Rwanda, Algeria, Morocco.
Well, Oliver, it's gone beyond the Barclay.
Yeah, it's just, Brazil as well. So
I'll never get tired of that name, Jez, or making that rubbish joke.
You love it. You absolutely love it. Right, so moving on then. So what's been the most fun content you've put out and why?
I think probably that really sort of brought in a load of followers and interactions was probably my biggest video, which was obviously talking about the Norwich City transfer. So it's basically like an updated transfer. How can I put it? So players that we signed in the summer, basically going like a mid-season review on them. It brought in 61,000 followers. But I remember speaking about Forson specifically, and I was he wasn't getting many minutes at the time, and that was like the day before the Coventry game, and I remember sort of giving him quite a harsh rating. I remember he scored 2 goals, and I just sat and smiled, and I just said, "Here it comes." Chucked my TikTok an hour later, and it's mental.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I think stuff like that, like factors like that will sort of push a video more, just in the long run, I think.
Yeah, no.
You are only human, Oliver. You're entitled to get things wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as you do most weeks with your 10-0 prediction, to be fair.
I'm still going with that.
It'll come right at some point.
Well, a broken clock is right once a day.
True. I really liked your of the stuff you've done for us. I think that some of the as I said, I think a lot of it at the moment stuff that we provide you, isn't it? But like Killian, as I said earlier, and I'll keep saying it, is the Killian videos I think are really good, and particularly the ones where he's done sort of a documentation of his travel from Dublin to wherever. I suppose the last one was Hull, wasn't it? So that was it's interesting for people to see, because I think a lot of the time, and I hope Killian doesn't mind me saying this, but a lot of the time we just see a photo of Killian standing in the airport, and the thing for me was always sort of diving deeper into that and seeing his journey, and thankfully he's sort of documented that for us, because I think it's been absolutely brilliant. And we saw Killian the other week at the Coach and Horses, didn't we? It was despite the result, it was good to see everyone.
Yeah, it's cool. It's quite interesting to see that perspective of a traveling fan, someone who puts their heart and soul into supporting Norwich or any kind of football club. So yeah, it's really fun, and I always enjoy his facts, his historical facts, because
Yeah,
I love that kind of stuff. So yeah.
yeah. I
Um,
think his TikToks have been doing really well. Obviously, bringing in a lot of followers. So the majority of it has been him. But yeah, I mean, talking about the reactions, like, the fans can really appreciate. They're traveling to support Norwich, and what he does is just, yeah, it's unbelievable, to be honest.
yeah, he's a great fan. I mean, sort of. I guess moving on to the next question, question five. Given how big TikTok is now, what do you feel is next? What do you think content creators are looking for in terms of the next thing? And you did touch on this earlier. Do you think AI might add a different dimension to content creation?
Yeah, that's a good question actually. To be fair, I think I haven't really thought about my next steps. Obviously, how I can develop TikTok, but I mean, in my head, I've got a few ideas down which I want to do, which I'll bring out over the next few weeks, etc. But I think for me, it's about producing my own content for the Beyond the Barkley podcast channel as well. Sort of trying to integrate what I do on my personal to the Beyond the Barkley, but I haven't quite found that sort of match yet. So I'm still sort of searching for an idea to produce on there. But yeah, talking about AI, I think we're already seeing it. I think on TikTok, if you scroll down on your For You page, etc., animated AI video of just like, I don't even know, but it'll gain quite a lot of views and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely becoming a bigger part of TikTok, to be honest with you. But yeah, I'm not sure how it'll affect the football content creation scene within the near future.
I think what I've seen on Instagram is some random posts of like AI generated images that obviously aren't real but are quite kind of comedic.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I think people are using AI visual tools to create funny things or silly things in relation to like football. That I've seen it's all in good humor, but
Seen the Gordon Ramsay ones.
I have not. What's he doing?
Ollie, have you seen the Gordon Ramsay
I
ones?
haven't know, but I've seen sort of something similar. But yeah,
It's
So
a family
Gordon
podcast,
Ramsay.
James. Remember that.
Yeah, I know. I'm not going to go too into detail, but essentially, it's a bit like, well, the shows that Gordon Ramsay does. It's either Kitchen Nightmares or what's the other one? Hell's Kitchen, isn't it? I think he's calls
Yeah,
it.
something like
So
that.
it's kind of like setting the scene of that, but he's kind of doing. I don't even know how to describe it. He's doing strange things that you wouldn't necessarily think that Gordon Ramsay would do. Like he'll spill something over it, but then all of a sudden all of this stuff just comes oozing it. I don't know. It's very difficult to describe it without actually showing you it, if that makes sense. I'll send you both a video later, but that's the sort of thing nowadays where AI's taken a turn for the not even the word. I wouldn't use the word worst, but I'd say it's the you know what I'm trying to get at. It's just sort of random,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I think it's like it can be. It's a good tool to have. It's a good tool to use, but I think there is. I mean, I posted something about on AI and on the Pinkin recently. I think it has also meant a lot of people. I don't go into this too deep, but it has meant some people have lost work because
yeah,
of it. So I think it's great to have. It's a really nice to have with certain things, but equally, I don't. I hope people don't start overly relying on it to do stuff, because then I think for the content side of things, it then dilutes it down, and potentially it's not. You're double guessing then. What is that? Is that AI generated content, or is that,
yeah,
did
yeah.
someone come up with that? Then you're engaging that part of your brain, and then you don't trust it, and then you lose faith with that host or the person you're following.
Yeah, talking back to that, I mean, I remember sort of a year ago, you could tell what's AI and what's not. But nowadays, I look at stuff and I was just generally just question if it's AI or real life. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's developing fast.
go on,
I think
James.
there was a plane crash, wasn't there, a couple of days ago in Canada, and I think the video got posted of someone escaping that, and straight away I was thinking, is that AI? But it actually turned out to be real. It was
Right.
a real video of someone escaping the plane that was upside down.
Right.
But you kind of have it in your head straight away, and that's the thing that like you can't ever trust whether that is real anymore. It's like, wow, that's a
Yeah.
gone.
Some of it is like we're talking about. If we go back to the content creation side of stuff, I think that I've seen some videos on YouTube for like what I thought was Fight Club 2, the film Fight Club. I don't know if you know it, Oliver. It was a really good film released in the late 90s,
Yeah.
but called Fight Club with Brad Pitt. And then I saw this thing on YouTube. It was Fight Club 2, and I was like, I looked at it, and I was like, I can't believe it. I didn't know Fight Club 2 was coming out. This is great. And then obviously I looked into it, and it was someone had made it with AI, and then I was like, it's just like, I get it, but you get excited, and then you're just like, oh, it's been AI generated. Great. There is no Fight Club 2. So, but yeah.
I've just played that bit, the Gordon Ramsay video. I'm going to send it to you both.
Okay.
1 second.
Jez, you're in a very excitable mood today.
Well, I've just sent you it both. Have a little watch of that. It's just because I desperately wanted to explain what I could, and I couldn't explain it. So that's
Okay. I'll have a look in it. I'll have a look later on because we've got a job to do right now, Jez.
I wanted to see live scenes of it. Never mind.
Okay. So is it you? Is it you next, Jez? I think so.
Yeah. Given how big TikTok. Oh no, we've done that. Question 6: what are your thoughts on the media output by the club, and has there been any pieces that have inspired you?
To be honest, I think it's called like the On the Ball series on YouTube or something like that. That's come out, and I've seen, compare that to other clubs. I don't think there's, apart from sort of the Amazon Prime documentaries on Arsenal, Man City, etc. I don't think there's anything quite like it. But I think for me, just like, and for the fans, they'll speak on that as well. Just seeing the behind the scenes of what goes on at the club is really sort of interesting to see, especially sort of deadline day and how it's all done. But yeah, I think that's the biggest piece of sort of content creation that the clubs put out that I'm really sort of intrigued by.
Yeah, I mean it's there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes. I think that it's an obvious thing to say, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on that that perhaps people don't realise. Like when Norwich got promoted in 1819. They had to spend like a large portion of the money that they got from, I guess, going up or whatever, on making the facilities in the city stand for the media Premier League standard. So already, obviously we're a club that isn't swimming in riches, but a large portion of that stuff had to be spent on that. And it's intriguing that they have these. Obviously, they don't go into all the details with these videos that they put out, but I think it's really fascinating that they do that, and it's and hopefully it sort of appeals to people, and they see that there is a bit more to what goes on with running the club than just, I guess, 11 players on the pitch on a Saturday.
Yeah, I think another powerful message that I want to put out there is obviously the club's suicide video awareness. I think when I first saw that, I was shocked. It was so good. And I think the amount of people that it reached and probably helped as well.
When was that released again?
I think must have been about a year ago or something like that.
Yeah, I mean they've had two, haven't they? They've had one where the two fans are talking to each other.
Yeah.
And then I think they had the one where it was the kit release video, and Stephen Fry was the commentator, I suppose, on that video.
Yeah.
And it was it was very provoking. Very provoking, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we touched on this before, but obviously, like it's I think in a way Norwich is its own little gem, because because of it being out of the way. It's probably a bit different to say all the London, however many clubs are in London or in the Midlands, and so I think it has potentially more of a community feel and outreach than a lot of other fans of other clubs might realise. So long may the media output that they put into the world continue.
Yeah, definitely.
So, just having a bit of fun with the next few questions. If you could create content for a player or players, you can have three if you want, because we always end up saying player, and then people get, oh no, I like this person, this person. Anyway, so content for some players. Who would it be? Why?
I think growing up, I always really liked Nathan Redmond, so I'd probably say him. I think his journey throughout football's been really interesting. So I think speaking to him and documenting how he's sort of gone about playing would be really interesting for me. I think another player I'm really interested in is Gabriel Sara. Recently seen the Talk Norwich City podcast that they've done with him. Yeah, that was really sort of intriguing to me to see like how he was brought up and how he ended up at Norwich it was incredible. Hard for them to.
Quite a journey. What about you, Jez? This question was coming your way, so I don't know why you're sighing.
No, I'm not sighing. I'm just considering my answer. Whilst I look at some WhatsApp messages from some Barnet fans, they were very excited. They're about to be promoted into the Football League, which, yeah. Anyway, that's maybe one for another podcast. If I could create content for a player, who would it be and why? I quite like the thought of someone like Grant Holt, and just charting his journey from League One to the Premier League. And revisiting some of those sort of famous games. The one where he scored a hat trick against Ipswich and used the microphone as his moustache because he was doing Movember at the time.
Oh yeah, the squad. Did the squad have all of them did Movember, didn't they? Or if they
funny story, if I may. It's a bit of an interjection. I hope you don't mind. But my ladies' football team, we thought it'd be funny to do Movember ourselves, and obviously not very easy for the ladies or the women to do. So they all bought fake moustaches, and a couple of the games they actually wore the moustaches. They just sort of sellotaped them onto their whatever the bit is called in between your nose and your lip. It was quite funny actually. We've got some quite good photos of that, and raised a bit of money. So yeah, that's my Movember story. Because I can't grow a moustache, or at least couldn't grow a moustache to save my life. So maybe I should have had one stuck on as well. But yeah, so yeah, definitely Grant Holt. I think other players, so perhaps Timo Pukki as well.
Yeah,
I think that would be a really interesting one because again, like his journey and how he became written into Norwich folklore quite decisively. Because I think as well, like it was a shame that he had to go, but it is what it is. But yeah, I think he's got a really interesting because I guess he didn't hit his straps until he was in his late 20s. Is that right, Jess? He was when we signed him. He was like 27.
Yeah, he was probably about 27, 28, wasn't he? But he didn't really hit the ground running at any other club. I think Celtic he did okay. Brondby, I think the club was called. He did okay at, but it was really Norwich where he found his feet, and a lot of that was down to the players he had round him at the time. He struck up a really good relationship, partnership, whatever you want to call it, with Buendia. And he's someone else. I mean, you look at Emi Buendia, and he could, if he didn't have this injury, which he had last year or the year before, he could have been a regular for Argentina by now.
Yeah.
And he's someone that was of such a talent. He's the most talented footballer I've ever seen at Norwich. I maintain that.
Yeah, once his career's over, I think it'll be interesting to see because obviously he's at Leverkusen now and they're Champions League. I think they're in the round of 16, so it'll be interesting to see what he does until the end of his career. I think, once his career is finished, I think it'll be very interesting to see, that, like I previously mentioned with Gabriel Sara, I think, it'll be interesting to see how his journey throughout football played.
Yeah, you look at players like, on that note as well, Ollie, you look at players like Adam Ida and Christos Solis, both featured in the latest round of the Champions League. Solis is now in the round of 16, and Ida was within 30 seconds of taking a very good Bayern Munich side to extra time last night.
Yeah, and obviously he scored a brace against Villa as well. But I think there's been a few players that we've had that have been sort of poorly mistreated by the fans, in my opinion. And one of them was Ida, I think Kanta as well. I think another one. But it's just, whatever players we have, fans will always have their complaints and stuff. We're seeing that now. I saw a post about Doyle underrated, and I was like, he's one of our best defenders this season, in my opinion. But there's still fans moaning about him that he gives the ball away. But I mean, no player can be perfect. Do you get what I mean? So it's just like we can't expect to have players like Messi and Ronaldo on our team. It's just
Well, you can't. But on the same token, you got a player like Doyle that he doesn't play the easy pass all the time. It's not like if you do it as a percentage, 80% of the time he probably does play the easy pass, but 30% he's the defender that plays that challenging ball over the top into the channels, or up into Shinak or Sargent. That's 2 or 3 of our goals against Swansea was because Doyle put that was direct with the ball and pumped it forward.
Yeah, it goes to show how sort of reactionary sort of football is, because if we take last week out of the equation, fans would be feeling positive about the club and stuff, and then obviously we came across them 3 results, 2 draws and a loss, and obviously it's back downhill again. But yeah, it's like a roller coaster. It always has been with Norwich, up and down. But I mean, that just adds the excitement for me, and that's why I support the club and love it, to be honest.
Yeah,
agreed.
The addiction to the good times can only be that way when you've had a low period. I mean, I'm just going to quickly interject with something. I would go probably for Matt Jarvis, because I think the reason why I'm saying Matt Jarvis is because obviously he had a terrible injury with Norwich, and he had some really good spells. One of my favourite games I've ever seen is when we beat Bournemouth, 3-1, I think it was, and he was playing with what was that left back called? It doesn't matter, but I just think that no player wants to get injured. No player wants to be sick. Unfortunately, some people just get unlucky with their physiological side of things. And I think it would be really interesting to just see his the mental health journey behind being a player, a high performance sports player who, unfortunately, sort of hit a run of really bad injuries, and to kind of generate that kind of, I guess, empathy for people who are kind of in that same sort of space. If either of you two have seen Sunderland Till I Die, there's Johnny, I can't remember his name now. He was a Welsh international, but he was injured for ages whilst he was at Sunderland, and you could just tell it was really getting him down. It was really bringing him down, and I think it's just like, I guess, trying to be a bit more empathetic with players that are a little bit, I guess, for want of a better term, injury prone.
Yeah. I think the club's done a very good job at sort of documenting, obviously, Liam Gibbs, who's had 2 injuries this season, obviously came back and then came on against Plymouth, and within 8 minutes, off again. But I think documenting his journey, obviously on the Ball series, just like, I didn't realise he's still driving his first car now, which I think is just amazing, to be honest. But I think just sort of engaging with the fans that these are humans, and they can't help injuries at the end of the day. So I think it's very important to communicate that across the fans, because
it gets lost.
Yeah,
definitely.
Jez, over to you, my man. Unless you've got something to say.
No, I'm quite comfortable to move on. So, who do you think has the most relevant social media output? Who do you think has the most relevant social media output from a recent player?
Relevant social media output. So do you mean like? What do you mean by that? Could you elaborate?
Morgan, as you wrote the questions?
Yeah, I mean, you can tell it's me having these. So I guess, like, when I say relevant, I mean, like, is it engaging? Is it inspiring? Is it fun? It can be any of those 3.
What, in terms of players, or like?
Yeah, what player puts out the most sort of relevant content?
I think obviously Onel Hernandez has been quite popular with fans at the minute, and like all his on TikTok, YouTube. He goes beyond the scenes that we see on the Ball series. So again, that's another interesting insight to look at. But yeah, I'd probably say Hernandez.
Yeah, I liked Tim Closer when he was at the club. So I think some of his stuff was quite fun, and kind of kept just people's spirits up a little bit, because I think we were going through quite a bit of a down period during that Premier League season.
Yeah, who was that striker we had, and he was sort of like a singer or rapper? I think it was Dermot.
Yes. Yeah, he had a great song as well, and I don't know why the club didn't play that sort of weekly, to be honest, like at half time. with the video of him swimming in some sort of like Mediterranean Sea as well.
Yeah.
I've never,
Yeah.
I've never seen it, but
I'll send you it now.
It sounds. Oh, you're so generous. It sounds hilarious. It's weirdly he came up again in conversation this morning, Joseph Dermich, when I was speaking to my friends.
Yeah.
I haven't read that name in so many seasons.
Yeah.
Bit of a bit part player for us, I think.
Yeah.
The song's called No Tomorrow. It's something else.
Right.
Honestly, it's hilarious. It's not hilarious. He's done a good job. He's just a footballer, he ain't a singer.
Yeah. Yeah. Bit like you.
Well, I'm a jack of all trades, really, aren't I, to be honest? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so it's my question, isn't it now? So we talked about Nathan Redmond earlier. It's funny you came up.
Yeah.
So Norwich used to make fun kit release videos. In fact, Nathan Redmond was in one of those. What would your theme be behind a kit video if you could make one, and who would star in it from the current squad?
Ooh, it's a good question. Theme around.
That's why I write them.
To be fair, I think they've done a good job of promoting the third kit this season. Obviously, going to, I think it was one of the Norfolk beaches. I don't know if it was Seapool in Wales or something like that. But I think
it was Holcombe. I know someone that was in it, but maybe come on to that in a minute. But yeah, carry on.
Yeah, I think it's hard to sort of pick a theme for a kit, but I remember the kit last season. It was the purple. It looked like the inside of a red cabbage, basically. But I think something like that would have been funny to sort of bring into it. But yeah, I think from the current squad, I don't know. I'd probably say Hernandez again, just because I think his character would add something else, and I think a lot of fans, really do like Hernandez and what he's done for the club.
Yeah, he's a likable figure.
Yeah.
I think I would have Josh Sargent coming into like this warmly lit sort of old country manor, wearing a really nice velvet padded smoking jacket. Yeah. Obviously not smoking because he's a professional sports person, and just kind of like lounging in one of those really big back chairs in front of a fire, with and then sort of pulling open his smoking jacket to reveal the new strip. So if the Norwich City media team need an ideas guy, look no further. I am just here for you. Reach out to me. You can catch me on all the social channels. Blah blah blah. Jez?
My inspiration bucket's running a bit dry here today. I don't know. Maybe like I don't know. Maybe like some sort of like Strictly Come Dancing theme. So like
Ed Ball's guest appearance.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. So they all sort of line up at Blackpool, the ballroom at Blackpool, and in their sort of it could just be like a kit launch for all the kits. I know they like to do it individually, but it could be like I mean, I've only watched it when it's been on in the background when either my mum or my partner's watched it, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think the announcer comes on. He goes, "Oh no, here's Paul Merson and his partner Alessia DeLucio dancing the chive, the jive, not the chive." Yeah. And then it obviously comes on, and it could be that, and it could be here's here's Lewis Dobbin with his partner, and then it could be him wearing that kit for that season, and then obviously. Who's the really harsh one on there? I always forget his name.
Oh, I can't remember his name.
Bloody hell, what's his name? Anyway, the really harsh one on there, that one of the judges, they could like flash to the judges at the end, and he could go, "Wow, I think the kit this season's really good." And I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking about it too much, but there you go. That'd be my suggestion: a Strictly Come Dancing theme kit launch.
Bad. That wasn't too bad for coming up with in a minute. You're definitely an ideas guy, Jez. Has anyone ever told you that?
Thanks. And then in relation to the third kit this season, Ollie, former player of the ladies team, I know quite well. I used to work with her, and she was involved in that kit launch. And she said that they had to get up quite early in the morning because it was filmed at some of it was filmed in Holcombe Hall.
Oh wow, okay.
But the beach at Holcombe was used obviously a little bit as well. She said there's a photo of her sort of famously leaning on Jose Cordoba, just sort of like leaning sort of on him, and they're sort of he's neither of them were smiling. So that was she got a bit of ribbon about that, bless her. But fair play to her for doing it. It was I think something we discussed last night was the ladies being involved with the club. Well, I think they have been in that sense. The kit launch seems to have. Do you see what I'm saying? They seem to have got some good sponsorship and always seem to be involved in the kit launches these days, which I think is only a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Cool. What is one piece of advice you would give to any aspiring content creators out there when starting out?
I just think don't let anyone sort of bring you down, because I think starting content creation can be seen as sort of cringe. But yeah, just ignore all that, and I think just do what you want to do. Because it goes back to the thing is like when you first start out, people call it cringe, but if it eventually builds into something productive and positive, everyone will want a piece of it. So I think my advice would just be if you want to start, just start.
Yeah, don't overthink it. I mean, going back to our Drew Broughton episode, don't overthink stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I would I would agree with everything you said there, Oliver. I mean, one of the reasons why I've never done anything like I barely use my Instagram because I get in my head about it because I'm like, I don't want to be that guy like walking down the street. But I mean, I just need to get over myself a little bit with it,
Yeah.
I quite liked your Valentine's update this time, Morgan.
Me with my well, enough
Your
said.
Harry Potter's on.
Yeah, I have round rim glasses, Oliver. Of course I do. But yes, Harry Potter's. Is it that time?
Before we do that, I think no, let's do that at the end. So yeah, it is that time, Morgan. I hope you're ready for this, Oliver.
I think this is what he's been looking forward to for weeks. I'll take that silent laugh. So it's the random question of the week. Okay, this is going to be a tough one, so I'm expecting silences. If you could create a piece of social media, a social media kind of platform to promote something, what would you promote and why?
Social media to promote something. Cool, that is some question. I'd like to hear your guys' ideas first before I can sort of put a picture on mine.
Yeah. Okay, I would decide. I would choose I'm coming up off this is coming out of absolutely nowhere. Norwich City bobble hats, and create a community around Norwich City bobble hats, and which ones. We can go way back to the 1930s. If there's any bobble hats around, and just kind of generally talk about bobble hats. So there you go.
Yeah, I thought of mine now. I reckon I'd probably do like an app, and it would be like sort of like a bird's eye view of the stadium, and obviously, I mean, it's basically like Google Maps, but just highlighting sort of the food points because I mean, pretty much food is so important for me anyway.
That's a pretty good one.
It's a good idea. You can do different things like where to find defibs and stuff. So it could be like a bit of a medical thing as well.
Speaking on that, what is your go-to pre-match meal? Or not pre-match meal, but just.
You're flipping the random question of the week on us.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I mean, my answer to Morgan's first is pre-peeled bananas.
Pre-peeled bananas.
Yeah.
Why?
Why? Just because I think nowadays people just don't have the time, do they? They don't have the time to peel the banana. So why don't we just peel it for them? Why don't your supermarket just sell pre-peeled bananas? I think that could be a big hit.
I don't know. I don't really. I agree with you. I don't like that little hard black bit at the end.
At the bottom, yeah.
Sometimes that fella can kind of come with can stay on rather than going away with the skin. So, yeah, you've got a good point there. Sorry, Oliver. What was the question again? Your question?
Just what is your go-to sort of, I don't know, like light snack or something before the game, like meal or something?
if I've got the time, a pie. I love a pie.
Yeah. For me, I'd say a Morrison salad.
Yeah,
A
good
Morrison
shout.
salad.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Always what I
not
do
as filling.
to every game. I don't know why. It's just sort of a tradition that I have. Just go and get a Morrison salad.
Good idea. I mean, my the person that sits next to me at the game, he always goes to the hot counter at Morrison's.
Yeah.
It's basically, I don't know if he actually enjoys the food or whether it's the fact that he just goes there to make a point that he doesn't want to buy anything out of the club. But probably some from the one, some from the other. But for me, it's difficult because I've a few options really. I mean, there's the fish and chip shop down the bottom of Long John Hill, which is really nice. But then that's, if I've got time. I mean, mainly my pre-match consumption will involve a few beers, if I'm being honest. Obviously, I can't drink too much because I'll drive. Excuse me, sorry. But yeah, I think certainly a few beers prior to the game, and if I can, grab something in the ground, a bit like Morgan, maybe a pie or there is that really good hot dog stall just opposite Morrison's as well. That always seems to be. I've had one or two there, but I'll be honest, he's so good at it. The queue is around the corner.
Where it's a hot dog? Do you say? I love a hot dog.
Yeah. So where Morrison's is, and you got the retail park where all like Argos and other shops are available on that leisure park. But yeah, you know exactly where I mean. So it's in between there. So it's like the walkway. You got the road that goes into Morrison's, and you can turn. You got a roundabout at the end, so you turn left to go into Morrison's or right into that retail park. He's just there, halfway down that road.
I'll check it out because I do want to eat something other than a sausage roll at half time. So I am bored.
I had one at the Derby game, just flakes everywhere. Like I've never.
we covered this. We covered this.
I thought Greg's was bad, but oh my god, I was just stuck to my clothes for the whole day. I was trying to rub them off like throughout the whole of the second half.
Yeah, this is why I quickly eat it at half time, standing up, because then you don't get the crumbs all on you.
So, you get them on the people in front of you instead. Bonus. Right, Ollie, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's as I said, you've been involved for a couple of weeks now with Beyond the Barkley, so this has been quite comfortable for me, Morgan. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's been really good. It's been really good. And again, like Jez said at the beginning of this episode, thanks so much for your hard work and everything that you and Killian O'Grady have done for the pod so far. So could you do you want to again give a shout out to anyone or your handle on TikTok?
Yeah, firstly, I just want to thank you guys for getting me involved with this. It's a fantastic project and it's grown.
Thank you, mate.
Over week on week. But yeah, I think I'll just shout out Beyond the Barkley on TikTok and Sadler Talks Footy on TikTok as well, and that's all from me.
It's like you sound like that was very professional of you, Oliver.
Yeah, it was very good.
Better than us.
Yeah. That's a given, isn't it? Right, okay, so just for everyone else listening, you can follow us on our Facebook, Instagram and X channels. We are now available to listen to on YouTube as well. Do please
you dropped there, Jez. I think he was just saying, do please check out Oliver's TikTok channel. And I've got to save the end of this episode by wrapping up.
Big ticket stuff that's in the King's speech that you want to shape your overall narrative. In theory, the government knows what it wants to do, but there is a process of seeking public opinion and reaction through...
that. Someone rang me, didn't it?
All right, okay. It happens.
Ooh,
You'll probably edit this bit out. Anyway, do you want to do that again?
Yeah, so I think, what did we get to? YouTube, right?
Yeah, so that bit again.
Okay, I've been Jez Davies.
I've been Morgan Hewitt.
I've been Oliver.
Brilliant. Goodbye, everyone.
Cheers.
Superb. Well done, gents. That was really good.
Yeah, really good. Really good insight into a content creator's mind and
That's it for this episode of Beyond the Barkley. Thanks so much for listening. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and leave a review if you enjoyed the show. You can also catch all our episodes on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And if you've got any questions, stories, or topics you'd like us to cover, get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, on the ball, City.